In Godzilla, King of the Monsters, the organization, the Monster Investigation Management Organization named as Monarch, and the government, they're investigating, studying the titans, the dormant titans around the world, also known as the kaiju. Basically, titans and kaiju, for our purposes, are the same thing, who are starting to awaken. And then there's an eco-terrorist organization that comes into the mix to kind of throw everything out of whack and, muddy up the plans. And, of course, as we expect, various titans, including, King Ghidorah, the powerful three-headed Hydra dragon, titan, gets awakened. And that causes all the catastrophe. All these different kaiju start awakening around the world. And then, Godzilla's still around too. And basically, Ghidorah's trying to be the alpha, the dominant alpha, to dominate all of the existing titans and have them wreck the earth. Meanwhile, Godzilla is the other competing alpha who has to, fight Ghidorah for dominance. And so far, Godzilla seems to be on our side. And all these puny human characters are caught in the middle. And the most prominent, a lot of the human characters, they actually do manage to give a lot of them, they do stand out, even though, which is really surprising given that there's so many of them and the focus of this movie isn't really on the humans that much. The three most prominent humans are this family. The parents, Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, and their daughter, Millie Bobby Brown. They're the ones you've seen in most of the commercials, the human elements of the commercials. And there's other scientists like Ziyi Zhang and military people like O'Shea Jackson Jr. It's basically scientists and military people, military government people, and, the most prominent ones are the family I've mentioned. And what did I think of Godzilla King of the Monsters? I think Godzilla King of the Monsters is a pretty good movie. I mean, if you like monster movies, you want to see kaiju movies, this is for you. I know one of the big complaints of the previous Godzilla movie in 2014 is that we didn't really see Godzilla that much. And I feel that with this movie, the writers and the directors and the studio, they took those complaints and they tried to address them. Because this movie has a lot more monster action. There's multiple monster fights throughout the entire movie. The first one, there's actually kind of a build-up to it. They do try to give the humans enough to do so that it's not constant monster fighting. They try to give this movie some semblance of a plot. But each monster, I'd say, gets at least... Most of them get at least like two, fight scenes or interesting scenes where they're doing, interesting stuff. The four main monsters or five. It's Ghidorah, Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan. So it's four. Those are the four main monsters who do anything of consequence in this movie. And each one, most of them get at least two fight scenes. Which should satisfy people who are complaining about the 2014 Godzilla movie that it's like, there's not enough monster action. That movie, I think, you didn't really see the monsters do anything till the end of it. And it was Godzilla versus the Muto. I forgot the name of that Muto. At the end of that movie, the climax. And I actually thought that Godzilla 2014 was fine, but this one, they were like, more Godzillas and monsters fighting. I mean, there's only one Godzilla, but more Godzilla and monster fights throughout the entire movie. Now, you probably heard and seen that a lot of the reviews for this movie are terrible. And one of the reasons that it's getting bad reviews is a lot of the critics thinks it's light on plot. And I think the reason they're saying that is because, I feel that the screenwriters are basically trying to write this movie so they can get to the monster fights as quickly as possible and use the human characters to, I guess, bridge, to explain things that the monsters can't explain because monsters don't talk. And there is a lot of exposition dumps. But I didn't think that it was ever slowing things down or that it was stupid. Like, I felt that the way that they delivered the exposition, it worked. It didn't bore me or bog the story down. And I feel like the critics are being too harsh because the challenge with a movie like this is the main draw is the giant monsters, right? But the monsters don't talk, so the screenwriters can't give them like dialogue and soliloquies and monologues and stuff, right? It's not like The Godfather, where all the characters are people, and it's really easy to write, drama and emotions for people. In a Godzilla movie, they can't do that because Godzilla and Mothra and, Rodan, they don't talk. So I think there's only so much they can do. And if you're coming into a Godzilla movie expecting it to be Shakespeare, this isn't the kind of movie for you. Like, this is a movie you see to have giant monsters beating each other up. And this movie delivers that pretty well. I mean, Godzilla can't go around saying, "Oh, I'm having such a bad day, Mothra. What am I going to do?" They can't do that. This isn't Finding Nemo or Finding Dory. The monsters and the animals don't talk. So I think that the screenwriters worked a lot with what they have. I felt that the human characters, they actually did, I feel, have a lot to do. I mean, I never felt like the humans were barely in the movie. I feel like this movie had a good balance of monsters and humans. Like the humans did what they needed to do to move the plot along and to explain things to the audience, and yet they still had, in my opinion, distinct personalities and purposes. And there was actually a family drama too in there. I mean, family, family drama, not like family drama in like the light kid friendly way, but there was drama between, the family at the center that I mentioned before. And the military people had stuff to do, the scientists had stuff to do, the terrorists had stuff to do. Um I thought it was an entertaining movie for the most part. If you like a movie that has giant monsters fighting each other, right? I mean, that's what this movie is. It's honest about all the advertising, the trailers have been honest. This movie is exactly what you expect if you've seen the previews. So, if you like giant kaiju movies, well, if you like, well, giant kaiju is kind of an oxymoron, huh? Or I guess kaiju means giant monster, doesn't it? If you like kaiju movies, this is your movie. I mean, it's giving you exactly what you want from a Godzilla movie that has multiple fights and multiple monsters. So, and each monster, I think the monsters do stand out a lot. Each one, I think, has like a different vibe, a different kind of even color scheme. Because they're really trying hard to make the four monsters I mentioned stand out from each other, and I feel that they succeed. Because these are, I think, the monsters in Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think they're the four most iconic Godzilla monsters, right? Other than, like, Mecha Godzilla. And, of course, King Kong's going to run into them, too. But I think, from the Godzilla family, all those Japanese movies, I think the four in this movie are, like, the most popular ones, aren't they? And so, I feel like they each stood out pretty well. Not only in their characters design and color scheme, but they all had, a lot of, they had fights and things to do. So, if that's what you want, this is your movie. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.